Well, for more on all this, let's bring in Haytham Faraj, who joins us live from Beirut in Lebanon, a retired Marine Corps officer and lawyer. Haytham, thank you very much for speaking to us here at TRT World. Now, Israel's threatened to expand its ground operations in Lebanon into the southwest as well as the southeast. What's the significance of Israel's latest military moves on Lebanon?
Well, I think the threat of expanding its ground operations is fodder for Israeli consumption. As Sayyid Hassan Nasrallah said in his last speech before he was assassinated, welcome. And I, as a military officer with many years of experience in warfare, I think the Lebanese resistance movement is probably awaiting eagerly the Israeli incursion into Lebanon. We saw it today. I mean, they took massive casualties today, but you won't hear about it because there is a complete media blackout in the so-called only democracy in the Middle East. You won't hear their media talk about it. But the Israelis took heavy casualties today, and you will see that repeated over and over if the Israelis make incursions into South Lebanon, whether it's southeast or southwest. Today they attempted to come in through Naqoura, which is in the southwest, and I think they suffered serious casualties. Their armored vehicles were burning this afternoon as I was preparing to come on and reading up on it. Yesterday and the day before, we had several attempts in Kfar Kila and Maroun al-Ras. I think they made a small incursion into Maroun al-Ras, maybe 700 or 800 meters. They planted their silly fascist flag and then fled back across the border. So Yoav Gallant wants to score some points with his public to make them feel better about what's happening. And so he will continue to make threats. Look, the better play for the Israelis is the continued killing of civilians like they've done in Gaza. I mean, that's what they're good at. The use of American warplanes, American bombs, to kill civilians, to try and break the will of either the Palestinians or the Lebanese.
Haytham, what do you make of when Israel first announced this ground offensive? It was described as Israel as being limited, which the US backed up, limited in scope. What's the definition of limited here when Israel's clearly threatening to expand?
You know, I discussed this last week with on TRT, and that is this: when you say limited, you are lowering the expectations of the public, and if you succeed in going further than say 1 or 3 or 5 kilometers, and maybe even going as far as the Litani River, then you change the objectives that you declared initially. I mean, no one is going to object to you going further if you initially said, I'm only going to have a limited incursion, right? And so when you are met with heavy resistance, as the Israelis have been met, you come back to your public and say, look, we only intended to have a limited incursion, and so we met our objectives. The fact of the matter is, the Israelis have been on the ground in Gaza for a year now, and they have been met with one failure after another on the ground. They're very good at killing people, okay? Let's just get that out of the way. I give it to them. They are excellent at killing people. Right before I came on the air with you, I began to hear bombs falling in Dahya, which is not too far from where I'm sitting. They're good at bombing and killing people. But when it comes to ground warfare, let's be clear. The Israelis have never been very good at that, and they're not going to be very good here. Yoav Gallant wants to make his soldiers feel better about what they're doing in their public. But I am guaranteeing you, I'm telling you, if they make a ground offensive, if they initiate a ground offensive with any depth, you're going to see lots of Israelis going back home in body bags.
Just briefly, Haytham, on these Haifa attacks, because meanwhile Hezbollah has also been launching rockets at Israel. What does it mean if at a time like this these rockets can get past Israel's Iron Dome, its defense system. What does it say about Israel's vulnerability right now? And also, clearly, Hezbollah may well be weakened or significantly weakened, but it's still remaining defiant, isn't it?
It is. And look, I think the significance of the attacks today, at least the number, right? We had 100, I think Hezbollah said 130. You stated it was 105. It doesn't matter. It was over 100. And since Sayyid Hassan Nasrallah was assassinated, it's been sort of a meager launch of rockets of maybe 10, 15, smaller numbers than we expected. We people who are watching this unfold expected from Hezbollah. Today's launch of over 100, regardless of how many were intercepted, is a moral boost for the public that supports Hezbollah. That is where they get their moral support from. And what that tells me, and I've been watching it very closely, over the last week, Hezbollah has been very silent, maybe over the last 9 days. And as I was beginning to think about it, I realized that they were probably engaged in some sort of stand down. Let's just stop what we're doing, find out where we've been compromised, either through electronic means or other means. Let's reorganize and get back to the mission. And I think today was day one after the reorganization of Hezbollah's capabilities and command structure so that they can go back to engaging in the fight. I don't know how much they've been attrited. The Israelis don't know. Hezbollah hasn't announced. But I will tell you this, it's not a secret. Hezbollah's rocket launchers, at least the strategic ones, are well hidden. They're dug in, they're in bunkers, they're in mountains. And so I don't know that they've been attrited to a degree that Israel can claim that they've been significantly weakened. What the Israelis were very good at doing is to destroy the existing command structure. And that's a great victory, a temporary one, but it was a great victory for the Israelis. And Hezbollah was able to reorganize.
Haytham, thank you very much for speaking to us and giving us your views here at TRT World. Haytham Faraj speaking to us live there from Beirut.